back, everybody, to episode 10. We're hitting the double digits now. We've been doing this every month on the month for 10 months now. We've been out here reporting on the construction of the Mountain America Event Center in Idaho Falls, Idaho. And we're finding out today, Idaho's Mother Nature really has a lot of things in its tool belt to throw at you guys. What are we dealing with today?
Well, you can see we've finally found one side of a building where the wind isn't crushing us today. I think the gusts are up to 50 miles an hour, and obviously this springtime in Idaho Falls has had an impact on this project, and one of the biggest impacts has to be on the roof. And Malone Bullock here is with Bateman-Hall, of course. And Malone, tell us a little bit about what gets impacted up there. Tell us a little bit about the process. I think there's 4 layers that go on that roof, and all of them are best laid when the wind's not blowing.
You're absolutely right. So imagine being up there in this wind, it's pretty hard to hold on to stuff. So one of the first layers, we have a kind of a sticky mat that goes down and adheres to the decking. Then you got 2 layers of insulation that goes on top of that. Then you get your TPO or your roof membrane that goes on top of that. So trying to handle all those materials that are coming in long rolls, about 8 feet wide, trying to roll them out in the wind, even with 4 or 5 guys on there, it's dangerous. Even being tied off and secure up there, the wind is quite hazardous. So we're trying to keep everybody safe on that portion where everybody's working in a good environment. So even if it's a little breeze down here, but this building's tall, it's a little bit windier up there. So
what do you think? We're about 75% complete up top?
I think we're getting pretty close, about 75% on that upper bowl area over the ice rink.
And Rob was telling me before we went on recording today that due to the wind severity, that's actually put you guys back 3 weeks.
Well, I think overall project is still on course, but as far as having the roof complete, it's probably they're about 3 weeks behind. But fortunately, we haven't had a lot of moisture with this wind, and so the work around the concourse has been able to be done, and so they're keeping pace. But it sure would be nice to get that upper roof on and get that whole area dried in, so we make sure that we keep any moisture coming our way out of the building.
So the roof may not be exactly where you were hoping to be at this point, but you guys have had plenty of other things to keep you busy in the meantime.
Well, absolutely. And right behind us here is the second main entryway into this building. We don't see that very often. We always come in on that front entryway. But what you'll start to see here is brick will start being laid on this entryway to make sure it matches the tilt-up panels. And obviously, if the viewer can look right behind, you'll see that part of this first floor concourse has been poured. Actually, 3/4 of it's been poured. And what that's allowed the group to do is do other things inside. Malone, so tell us a little bit about what else is happening inside now that you're getting that first floor slab poured.
So like I was saying, that first floor is quite crucial for us. That was kind of the foundation that we needed before we start doing any other work to start framing for the restrooms, the janitor closets, the ticket rooms, and some of the concessions that go underneath. So the first layer that we have to put on there is we have CMU walls that go up about 4 feet high. Then we can do our metal stuff framing on top of that. So it's been a long anticipated time to get that floor in, to get started framing on that, get those finishes going on this side of the building. So with that, there's 5 concessions around this bowl and with 3 with the grill. So it's a lot of work for our guys to start transferring to, because we're wrapping up things, what we call the back of house is where the banquet hall is, the locker rooms. We need more stuff for our guys to start working on. So we try and do the best that we can with weather. But once we get that roof filled in, we'll feel a lot better and know anything can come our way.
But I'm sure that this isn't your first rodeo dealing with this kind of conditions.
No, it's not. It's Idaho for you. You can have all 4 seasons in one day.
Well said.
Absolutely.
Well, shall we go inside and show some progress?
Let's go inside.
Okay. Well, what you were mentioning out front here, right behind us, is the start of the concession areas and the restroom areas. And as the viewers can see, this is just the first one that's being formed up here, and we have, I think, 5 concession stands?
That is correct. There's 5 concessions, and there's 3 of them that have grills.
Talk about the significance of having those 3 grill in place of the concession stand.
Well, I think having those 3 grills gives every opportunity where you're not waiting in such long lines, where you can go to one or go to the next one. You're not walking all to the same place. There's 1 grill on each side of the bowl, and there's one on, like I call it, the east side. So you got 3 grills positioned quite equally distant from each other, where everybody has convenience to go to the grills, but the ones that don't have the grills, you can still get whatever goodies you want from there.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because one of the main things I can remember when going through the planning process and getting to the final architectural drawings, and there was a lot of discussion about adding that third grill. And I know the operator at the time said it was so important to have that third grill because we want to create a great customer experience and not have as many lines. And so you can also see in here, you're going to have a lot of room when you come into this entryway to maneuver around and get to whatever concession stand you want to get to. So as far as this process here, I think it's really important to talk about some of the next steps in this facility. You know, as we were looking at it, it's really hard maybe for the viewer, somebody driving by, to see the amount of progress, even though progress is happening every day here. But one of the big things is having that bowl area done. And talk about the significance of getting that all done.
So when you say about the bowl area, you're talking about the high roof. So in the bowl area, we got a lot of overhead work just above the ice. And part of that I'm talking about is you have the giant duct that comes from 4 giant RT units that are around the whole bowl that heat and cool that space. So we're trying to get that up in the air that goes in a full circle, an oval shape around there, along with the electrical and also the fire sprinkler system goes up in there. We're trying to get that in place so we can have it painted so we don't have as much traffic on the ice slab when that gets poured. So we're trying to keep that protected as clean as possible.
And I think we mentioned this before, what the significant thing about the ice slab is they'll come in, they'll pour it in one day, 12 to 14 hour pour, but then there's a large cure time.
Yeah, there's a cure time we have out there. So we're trying to work and see if we can shorten that down where we can get some minor equipment where we can proceed doing other tasks in the bowl area. But we want to make sure we have that full cure time so we don't cause any cracking or any defects in that concrete for the ice.
And I think that's 28-day cure time.
Yeah, recommend is a 28 total cure time on that, yes.
So when we get inside the bowl, I think it'd be really interesting. Maybe Tyson can show the viewers what's happening up above here, and that's a really important component to get done because not only do you have all the duct work, but you're going to have the fire sprinkler system in, and then you're going to have some paint that goes in there, and it's the paint is a dry fall. So tell us what dry fall is.
So a dry fall is kind of a type of paint when it gets exposed to the air, it dries really quickly. So it doesn't come down wet, it doesn't stick on anything. So when it goes, you spray on contact, it adheres to it pretty well. So that just means in the long run, there's a lot of sweeping underneath. We all sweep all the precast off, but it's not staining, it's not decoloring the concrete or anything like that.
So Malone, here we are with the piece of ductwork here, and I am just amazed by the size of it because I've been looking at this ductwork from down here and it just doesn't look that big. So tell us a little bit about what's going to go through here. A lot of air, obviously.
A lot of air, yeah. So like I said, there's 4 major RT units that go around 4 corners of this bowl. They're 90 tons apiece for airflow, not the total weight of the unit, but airflow they're able to produce. So this one's going to be pushing all the air through and around this bowl to cool it and heat it. So I'm roughly 6 feet without my boots on. So this is over 5.5 feet tall diameter in this duct. So they're big ductwork they can open and they're heavy. So it's been quite a challenge for our HVAC contractor to get these up in the air, get in position, and put them in the ground.
So they are navigating around all the steel that's already in place.
Yes, you got to navigate through all the trusses and support beams for all the rigging system up there too.
One of the big milestones is when we got all this precast in. So behind us, Malone, is what they call precast. These all came in big chunks. I'm not sure how many different chunks of precast came in. It seemed like a huge number.
Yes.
And having this in place it just shows the viewer exactly what the bowl area is going to be like and where your seats are going to be. So talk about what else has to be done here. I know I see some steps have been put in place.
Yeah, so after the precast got set, we had to put some safety railing up first so we can still work on here, keep everybody safe. And part of it is there are some other steps that we had to cast in place, concrete-wise, for the steps for people to get to all their seats for all the rows. So that's currently going on as well. And there's a lot of patching already taking place for all the pick points where they use to lift these panels into place. And now we're just trying to fine-tune the vomitories and going down. We'll still have to go back and caulk all the joints. But it was a great milestone to get this in. So that opened up where we can start getting stuff prepped for the ice rink and start doing the work underneath all the precast where we saw earlier in this video where the concessions are and the restrooms. So that allows us to start that framing going up to the precast.
Well, I don't know about you, but now that I'm right here in this area, I don't know what row this is. It might be row 5, 6 or something in this facility. But I might have to go back and re-look at my seats, because this is one heck of a seat for any event that's going to be here.
Right here, not that close off. We can do an in-state concert right in front of us where we're looking. You can have a great view from who's ever performing during that time.
And then again, I can go down and I can have access to 5 concession stands. So,
yep, right behind us is one. Yeah. If you're sitting here, you go right down the vomitory, you go right to it.
I think this is a pretty good seat right here.
It is.
Well, we're up here on the second level, one of my favorite spots in this whole arena. And I was very anxious to see how this second level, the slab that was poured as part of the structural integrity of the walls, how it was going to connect to the precast, because we have that big gap there. So what we see here is the decking that's going down. So tell us a little bit about the process here with this, what they call this a pour back is what you call
Yeah, we call it a pour back. This is a smaller strip. So like I said, early in the winter, we poured the second level, majority of it. But now after the precast is in, we have this small pour back strip. And this is actually a continuation of your suite boxes and your club seating up here. So if you look behind us here, we had to put some decking down that got welded onto the I-beam and also welded to an embed that was encased in the precast riser. So I guess welded, then we got some sub-out rebar. So we'll still have to do some forming on there before we pour concrete, but it's gonna pour out, then I'll give you your extra 4 feet or so of all your loge boxes and your suites.
Yeah, that's going to be a significant improvement here to see how that all ties together and see how much bigger the loge and suites will be. But down on the floor there, we have that metal. Those are called stanchions, and we can see up above those stanchions are being put in place. And so the significance of the stanchions, is my understanding, is for the rigging that's going to be happening in this facility.
Yeah, so part of those stanchions, they go on top of that grid system that's over the rink. And those stanchions are used for a guardian system or a cable system. So those who are up there doing the rigging have a safety line that they can tie their lanyard into. So if they do fall, they have that to catch them. So it's a safety system for those who are rigging, working up there, or even performing as well.
Yeah, but the significance of having all the stanchions in and the rigging is a lot of events and acts that will come in will require rigging. And
yes.
So the overall capacity, I think, is 150,000 pounds of rigging capacity. So any event that can come in here really, if they have a circus or some kind of a rock show that really requires some extensive rigging, this facility will handle it.
Yes, this facility has a capability for almost any concert available to them.
Wonderful.
All right, and that's going to wrap it up for episode 10 of the Mountain America Event Center series with Construction Business TV Idaho. Failed to introduce ourselves formally at the beginning probably because of how windy it was.
Nobody would have heard your introduction anyway, Tyson.
Tyson, the video journalist with Construction Business TV Idaho. We've got Rob Spear, the executive director of the Idaho Falls Auditorium series, and Malone Bullock of Bateman-Hall.
Yep.
So what do we have to look forward to over the next 30 days coming up to episode 11?
Well, one, we hope this weather's going to cooperate so we can get it dried in, and then we're going to proceed on. And Malone's in a better position to talk about it, but I think there'll be significant work done on the back of the house and probably maybe get a start on that ice rink, Malone.
Yeah, well, that's what we're hoping for. If the weather cooperates, we're hoping to get some more of this exterior of this building done so people can see it get closed in. And hopefully we start wrapping more of the back of the house out, especially that banquet hall, get those walls all sheetrocked and start working on some finishes in there. So we start more focusing on this bowl area, do more of the suite box framing, start working on that ice floor by doing some grading, some prepping work on that. Yeah.
That's a really important sequence, is to get that back of the house, get those subcontractors who are working back there to get prepared to really transfer out here in the bowl to start working out here.
I'm looking forward to that. We're all getting very excited and seeing how this is coming together. We want to extend a special thank you again to everybody who's been following Construction Business TV on the YouTube channel, following the episodes as they've been unveiled month to month as far as the formation of the Mountain America Event Center. And thank you to everybody who has subscribed to the channel. If you haven't yet, there's the button right below the video. We're about 40. We're 40 subscribers away from hitting our 1,000 subscriber mark. So we're getting very pumped about that. If you haven't yet, do so. We very much appreciate it. Thank you guys again for your time and your support, and we'll see you next time.